Hey guys, Dan Malone here from MassLive.com alongside no one. I'm here at Hawk Hill in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania by myself here right after UMass loses to St. Joe's 78-70, the team's sixth straight loss. Kind of a close one, a lot closer than I thought. I certainly thought, and a lot of people thought this one would be. I had pegged this as maybe a 20-point loss or more coming in just because of the way St. Joe's had been playing. They're an NCAA tournament team at this point. They're maybe the best team in the Atlantic 10. UMass obviously on that 5-game losing streak. That stretches to 6. But you could just kind of get the sense talking with Derek Kellogg after the game that maybe this is kind of a building point, something that they can get a little out of if they approach this correctly. You know, that's a small consolation at this point for a team that's really struggling. Now 3 games under 500, just 1-6 in the league. Fans aren't going to want to hear that for sure. But I think it's something that these players need to hear because, you know, there was a better effort tonight. They got some contributions from some different spots. Trey Davis, who had scored 30 in each of the past 2 games, only scores 10. You know, he dealt with foul trouble tonight. And then you have Seth Berger, who comes out and scores a career-high 17 after getting pulled from the starting lineup. And I guess that's where we should start, where Derek Kellogg, you know, made some switches to start off this game. He shook up his starting 5 by putting Antoine Space in for Berger. He pulled out Jabari Hines and replaced him with C.J. Anderson. Hines, remember, last year was kind of that 6-man super sub for all but 8 games anyway, so that's nothing new for him, nothing new for Seth Berger really either. And to be honest, it didn't do a whole lot at the beginning of this game. Space looked, you know, really awful, to be frank, at the beginning. Tons of turnovers for everyone. At one point, UMass had 7 points, 7 turnovers, and 7 fouls. Against a team that has DeAndre Bembry, you're going to have to apologize, or I'm going to have to apologize. I'm actually at the youth game at Hawk Hill right afterwards. So if you hear a bunch of kids running around, it's because, and that was a basketball that almost just took out the camera. Gotta love these kids. And, you know, if you had told me going in that they were going to play that poorly to start this game and only be down 2 at, you know, the midway through the first half, and then to actually take a lead into halftime as a result of a buzzer beater shot by walk-on Rayshawn Miller, I wouldn't have believed you, frankly, just because of the way these 2 teams have been playing. And I think that kind of speaks to, one, kind of how out of sync DeAndre Bembry was, and I think UMass had to do some of that too. They played. Derek even said they you know, played defense on him well. Dante Clark matched up with him for most of the night. He finished 3 of 13 with, you know, 13 points. He did a lot of damage at the free throw line, like a lot of the Hawks did down the stretch. So keeping him kind of from having a massive career night like he had done, you know, last time we saw him, he had 33 points. And the time before that, he had 25 with a whole bunch of rebounds and assists. That was kind of, you know, goal number 1 for them, and they accomplished that. Now Isaiah Miles went off and had a good night too, but it kept them in this, which for a team that had struggled so mightily, getting blown out by teams, losing to a bad St. Louis team, I think that's kind of a good stride for them. Now, that's not much consolation for a team that has now lost 6 straight, and I know fans aren't going to want to hear it, but Derek Kellogg was, I think he was legitimately, he felt good that they had kind of laid the foundation of maybe they're going to kind of pull out of this. I don't know if they're going to. They got another tough stretch coming up after they host Fordham, where they're going to have to go on the road for a little bit, and then they get VCU back at home. But you kind of saw kind of the inkling, the little, in its infancy, that maybe there's enough to kind of salvage this. Now, you know, you don't want to look too far down the road. They're still 1-6 in the league, 3 games under 500. But, you know, to come into a place like this where they don't play very well ever, and to be within 5 points under a minute is pretty good. Now, you know, it wasn't all great. Trey Davis, he struggled with foul trouble. Everyone struggled with foul trouble. Antoine Space, he fouled out. Dante Clark fouled out. It's still a learning process. Offensively, they stumbled through the early part of the game. They stumbled coming out of halftime again, which is a real problem with this team. They have to keep playing from behind, and you know, it keeps coming. I said it's going to. It already has. It keeps coming back to bite them, where they're constantly playing catch up. And if they don't have everything clicking, if they don't have Jabari playing the way he was earlier, they don't have Dante making shots, or Trey having an off night, you know, that's a lot of pressure to perform and kind of make this comeback night in and night out. They got closer than they thought to pulling it off, but that's not the way you want to live. And that's certainly not the way you want to treat the fans, because I know the fans, you know, that's hard to watch night in and night out. But, you know, this game didn't feel like the other losses during this losing streak. And again, I know that's not a whole lot to say, but you know, what can you do? You're going to have to take it for now, and we'll see how they respond at home on Saturday against Fordham. If they take another step back there, then, you know, all bets are off. Then that's kind of this team's MO sometimes, where you think they're ready to do one thing and then they take 2 steps back. So we'll see. But again, this was an entertaining game. I enjoyed it. I hope people were following along and you got to watch it online and enjoyed it too. And we'll catch you next time.